Oh, still no heart. She's 7. You just help somebody because you help musical too. What you got? Well, hello, beautiful people. I am super excited about tonight. It is Mummy Mondays, and of course, it wouldn't be Mummy Mondays without a visitor. Say hi, Jackson. Of course. So I'm excited for tonight, as always. If you want to give to our family scholarship, the link is going to be down below. If you are catching the replay, you can still click the link down below to make a donation to the Walker Family Scholarship for graduate students at Alabama State University. Look, I don't want to take up too much time because tonight is going to be so good. I've been doing Mommy Mondays for over a year now. And this will be my first time ever actually having my mom. So I'm excited to have a conversation with her and keep her from telling my business. But I'm super excited to have her. So without further ado, Jackson, are you going to go and sit with brother and sister? Okay, go ahead. All right. So without further ado, the lovely, the amazing, the talented, everybody love to eat her food, but will keep you together, always matching, my mama, Miss Felicia Becca.
Really? That's a tall order to live up to.
It's not tall. It's not tall at all. Hello, Mommy. How are you?
I'm great, Ebony. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Listen, I have 3 questions that I always ask my guests that they have to tell people. So the questions are: tell people who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ebony's mom. My name is Felicia Becca. I am a AV IT support professional. And you said where I work?
No, why you do it.
Why I do it? Well, initially I did it because when I first started school, I thought I was enrolling in the computer information systems program, but I was not. I enrolled in the technician program, and I was like, I'm not switching. I'm just gonna stay. So I stayed, not realizing that that was a field that really wasn't geared towards females. That there were very few females in that field, but there were a lot of females in the class with me. And the professor said his name was Dr. Stephen Tweed. I will never forget it. He said, I want you to look to your right and then look to your left, because all the people you see here sitting here with you now will not be the ones graduating with you. He was absolutely correct. When we finished the program, it was only myself and another young lady that was from the country of Colombia. She and I were the only 2 females to graduate the program.
Wow. And you guys, a lot of this stuff she says will be new to me too, because I remember things from being a kid, but some stuff I don't. I remember her graduating, right? But I don't remember like the details of it because I was a kid. I was just living my life, doing my thing. So, I mean, it's so many details about when you grow up that kind of get lost in, in growing and doing and being. And you talked a little bit about just the idea of the field you're going in not being something made for women. And I know you have a really great story. I don't know if you want to share it or not, just about the importance of understanding your worth and understanding what equality looks like in the workplace. And if you're willing to tell a little bit of that story, feel free to do so. But if not, just talk a little bit about what it looks like for you to work in the space that you're working in, being one of very few females that work where you work now.
Well, the first job that I worked in the field, I worked at Siemens Energy and Automation. That was in 1999. Oh my God, that's been a long time. Anyway, there were not a lot of women. And when I went for the interview, I always got the same question. Any interview I went on, are sweetie, are you sure that you want to do this kind of work? And I'm like, if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't be here. Yes, I would like to have my shot.
Right.
So working at there, it was an experience because, like I said, there were not a lot of females. I really worked with a lot of men.
I remember when you worked there.
Yeah, so uh, that was an experience within itself. It was, the good part about it is that because you're a female, when you're doing that kind of work, when you work with a bunch of guys, they'd be like, "Oh, don't pick that up. I got that. Oh, Miss Felicia, let me help you push that. Oh, let me help you do this." And I was like, "Oh, well, okay then." I just sit back, cross my legs, like, "You want to do it? Okay, go right ahead." That was the advantage. But the disadvantage of allowing people to do things like that for you, you never learn.
Mm.
So if something comes up that needs to be done, you be sitting there looking like, "Oh, I should have done it, but somebody did it for me, and I didn't watch them do it, so I don't really understand that process." So then you have to start doing your research and digging. But other than that, it worked out pretty good till I quit.
Well, we all know that, well, not all, but I remember that you quit. And I know that there were a few jobs in between, and now you are where you are. We won't mention where you work since you're a current employee there. Um, but one of the things that I know you ran into while you were working there was kind of looking around at what you were being paid versus what other people were being paid. Talk a little bit about what it took for you to, gain the degrees that you gained and learn what you learned to kind of understand what it meant for you to not receive the same pay as the people around you.
Well, first off, since I was the only female, and not only was I the only female, I was the only black employee on the team working with all white males. That was the advantage of me being able to start the process of them paying me what I'm worth. When I went to human resources, when I went, I made sure that I had all my I's dotted and my T's crossed. I had spoken with people at the EEOC, called cross campus. I was prepared. When I went in, I just looked and I said, uh, "Do you know why I'm here?" They said, "No, I do not." So I explained to her why I was there. And I just simply said, "I need for you to explain to me how me, a black female with 4 degrees, I'm working with 2 people that have no degrees, but they both make more money than me. I need for you to fix that
Hmm.
because it's an equity issue." And of course, she went to trying to explain why it couldn't be done. Da, da, da. I said, "Oh, okay, that's fine because I've already spoken with the EEOC. Here's the information she gave me." And she said that if you try to stonewall me, for me to call them back, and when they fix it, you're going to have to pay me back pay from the time the other person was hired up to now, plus give me my raise. So either you can fix it or I'll go and let them fix it. She looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, "Well, wait, wait, wait. You got to give me some time." I said, "No, you don't have any time because I've noticed around here that people do what they want to do. So I just need for you to fix it." Normally, when they do something like that, they tell you it takes 3 to 6 months. They did it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they didn't want no smoke.
No, they had already gotten the smoke. Now, the good thing, now I will say this, uh, my manager, he had been talking to them and talking to them about my pay. And every time he spoke with them, he would come back to tell me, like, "Felicia, I spoke with them and this is what they said. I just, I'm at my wits' end. I don't know what to do." I said, "Oh, that's okay. I can fix it." I said, "I just need to know that when I go, that whatever they say or don't say, that you'll support me." He said, "You go do what you got to do, and then I'll do the rest." And I have to admit, he did exactly what he said he was going to do.
And
When I
just for
went to him and
clarity, so
said,
people know, this man
"Yeah,
did not look like her.
no, he does not look like me."
Hmm.
But when I went to him and said to him, what they said they had to have from him in order for me to get it done, he was like, "Oh, That's all they need. He said, I've been done that. He said, I took that to them before to try and give it to them so I could get it done. He said, I don't have to do anything. I just need to forward it to them.
Mm.
He said, I'm sending it right now. That was the end of that.
And I think the important thing to realize is you knew what to look for. A lot of people don't understand, you know, that many things are public record. You can go and Google search. You have to know how to research to find it. But many things are public record. People's pay and all those types of things, they're public record. And a lot of times corporate companies specifically, they do tell you not to discuss your pay with other people. And that's just because they know they're not paying people properly. They know they're not doing what's right. And so I know it's been a blessing for you transitioning into Jackson. No, give me that. Transitioning into the fullness of your job. Is this what you always wanted to do? I know you said you wanted to major in complete your degree in something else. Is this always what you wanted to do? Do you still enjoy doing what you're doing, or would you rather be doing something else? And I'm asking this because I know what your degrees are in.
I'd rather be doing something else. That's another long story within itself, because once I completed school, especially when I got my first master's, you know, I thought I was going to be able to conquer the world, but it didn't work out like that, because I then discovered that uh, one, when people look at your resume, they can tell by your job history, not approximately how old you are, but they can tell that you're a seasoned individual. Uh, that and the fact that I am uh, a Black female, that has played a large role in me not being able to progress to a different area. And not only that, the fact that I'm such a vocal individual and I speak my mind. When you do things like that, people don't consider you to be a team player. They think that you're a house enemy, that, you're a loose cannon, and they can't trust you to do things a certain way, which is really their way. And, I made that clear. I'm not a yes person. And don't ask me to do something that's not within my job description or it's not policy and procedure, because I will not sign off on that. I'm strictly by the book, especially there. So that way, if something comes back, they can't say that, oh, well, she told me this, and this. No, no, I didn't. Here it is right here on paper. No, I didn't tell you that. So, because I'm like that, nobody really wants to, deal with that. Somebody that's really, they say they want honesty, but they don't want that type of honesty. But
No,
they
they
want
want
somebody
honesty
that
as in following their
they want
rules.
someone that they can mold and shape into the individual that they need to be able to depend on to get things done in a certain way. And that's just not who I'm not that person. So yes, I'm still doing the same thing I was doing when I got there 14 years ago, but that's okay, because at least they're paying me.
Right. And I know that you are working towards being able to retire, which is something that a lot of people won't, and I'm not going to say they won't be able to do, but it's just not something that will be as common as it used to be. People would used to be able to go to jobs and work on those jobs for 20 years and retire. And we just don't have those type of opportunities anymore, for people like myself, even my husband, which your son. We work places and we are there 2 to 3 years, and then we get opportunities to do something else. We don't. I'm gonna say that the world isn't made anymore for people to work somewhere 20 years.
No, jobs don't have longevity anymore. Um, there was a time when somebody worked somewhere, they worked 30 years and retire. But jobs are designed now because, there's such a vast variety of technological opportunities that jobs are really designed for you to stay maybe 3 to 5 years, maybe, and then you move on to something else. So, I mean, it may be your intentions, you go somewhere, you're like, oh, I like it here. I think I'll just stay. But sometimes it works out that you can't stay because what you're doing it becomes obsolete, or you know uh robotics takes over, and they don't need you to do that specific duty anymore, but they don't have anywhere to place you, so you get laid off. So yeah, 3 to 5 years is probably about the max for millennials, and even some people my age. They got laid off during the pandemic, or the job closed, and they had to learn how to reinvent themselves and do something else.
Yes. And and that's a big thing too, because a lot of people are saying, you know, where are the workers? Everybody's hiring, everybody's looking for employees, but people are understanding now more so than ever that they don't have to accept the treatment from people that they're receiving, and that they can move on to do something else if they so desire. Um, and then too, of course, the pandemic caused us to lose a lot of people. And where did those people work? They were a lot of the front line, working in fast food, or working in all these other places, and we lost a lot of those people. And we lost them faster than companies could replace them or hire more people to come in. And I think that that's been a really, really big deal um, since dealing with the pandemic. So we won't harbor on that too long. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about a little bit, I mean, we can see your Christmas tree in the background.
Oh, you can?
Yes, I can see your tree on the other side in the background.
Yes, my
Um,
little tree.
this is a really big time of year for a lot of people. People who are working, who do have jobs where they're in those spaces. Some of them get the blessing of being able to take off during this season because you know some companies allow people to actually have time off and be with their family. Some companies don't. Some people work Christmas Day. Um, but this is a really big time of year because everybody's happy and joyous, and there's a lot of things going on. But there are a lot of people who are experiencing loss. They've lost loved ones throughout the pandemic, or they've lost people just over the years, and the holidays can be a difficult time for them. And so, talk a little bit about what it's like for you to experience the holidays, whether it's this holiday or any holiday throughout the year. Um, because I know who we've lost, and talk a little bit about what it's been like for you to experience the holidays since losing granddaddy, or since losing your father, because I know that there are a lot of people that struggle in that area when the holidays come around.
Well, I mean, I struggle, and sometimes it's not even the holiday. Sometimes it can be a scent. You smell something, it reminds you of that person. Or like one night I was in my closet cleaning out my closet, and his obituary fell off the shelf onto the floor. When it fell to the floor, I fell to the floor because it just hit me like, oh my God, he not here. So the first Christmas that we did without your granddaddy, which was Christmas of 2012, that one was hard. That one was really hard. But I had to, in my own way, come to terms with his death. And honest to God, I know people say they don't believe in certain things, but I was asleep one night and I woke up and sat up in the bed. And when I sat up in the bed, your granddad was sitting on the other side. He had on his yellow Izod sweater, his beige khakis, his brown bucks, as he called them, and his beige Izod hat with his shirt and tie on. He looked over at me. He said, "You have to let me go because where I am, I'm fine. You just need to take care of yourself and make sure you good." He said, "Don't worry about me. I'm at perfect peace." And although I experienced that, did that help me with my grief? No. He said it. And I know that it was him that was talking to me and it was a spirit, but in my mind was saying, no, he not okay. I don't know why my mind did, but it has taken me years, because it's been 10 now, to come to grips with the fact that, you know, even if he had lived, he would have suffered, because he suffered before he died. And that now, he's better off than we are. Because look at the things that we've been dealing with since he passed away, all the things that are going on in the world. He's in a better place than we are. So, when I think about it that way, I can deal with it better. But do I still grieve? Yes. Do I think about him? Yes. But I think about him in a happy way.
Yeah, and I think that for a lot of people, they think that grief has like a time limit or a time frame.
It does not.
It doesn't.
And you don't really get over death. You learn how to live and deal with it. It just
Yeah.
takes time. You don't really get over it, because the person that impacted your life, there's going to be always something that goes on that reminds you of them. Always. Because that person was close to you. So, no, you don't ever forget them. You don't. But you can live with the memories that they left you and hold on to that.
Right. And I think it's so beautiful because we try to hold on, even though when people pass, a lot of times, depending on who they were to us in our life, Jackson. Okay. A lot of times, depending
Hey,
upon who,
Jackson.
you see, Gigi?
Hey, Jackson.
Look, he
Oh,
high.
he's not talking. Okay. That's fine.
But a lot of times, what we experience when we lose people is almost kind of like a heartbreaking, especially when they made such significant contributions to your life. Um, would you be open to telling a story about one of your favorite Christmases when he was around? You know, um, Even if it was as a child, talking about one of your
Oh,
favorite
no. His last Christmas was my most memorable experience,
Christmas.
because it was just hilarious. He had been trying to get Aaliyah the whole time since she had been born. And when she stole those potato chips and he could get her, he said, he was really sick then. He said,
Yeah.
"Girl, come here." And she wobbled over there. He said, "Give me that hand you took them potato chips with." And he popped Julia. He was so satisfied when he did it. It was just like some type of enigma took over. He was so happy that he got her, because he had been trying to get her, but he got her. And he was just completely satisfied with himself. After he popped her, he just leaned back in the chair and laid it back and put his feet up. And I said, "Daddy," I said, "Really? It's Christmas Eve." He said, "I've been trying to get her because that thing is bad." He said, "I got her tonight." I said, "Okay." But it was hilarious. But we really enjoyed that Christmas because we knew it was going to be his last.
Mm,
And that was my most memorable time. We had
mm,
lots of Christmases, but that, other than that Christmas, when I think that's when they, remember when your grandparents were living next door to Auntie Lon?
mm-hmm.
And we went there and your grandmama had made some type of souffle and tastes like Kellogg's cornflakes. And then she said she had actually put the cornflakes on top of it. Yeah, that Christmas was hilarious.
And I think it's when we can hold on to those types of memories. Jackson, Jackson, thank you. When we can hold on to those types of memories, near and dear to our heart, that we can, you know, begin to move forward in our grief. It doesn't mean that we are no longer grieving, but it gives us great opportunities to be able to move forward um, in our grief. Jackson, did you want to share? Okay. You just want some loving for some reason, every time the camera is on and the light is hot, he likes to be seen. And I don't know what it is, but okay. Well, I know we've been here 25 minutes already, and I don't like to hold people long. So I want you to share oh, your three things. You can share three things. Well, let's talk about one more thing before you share the three things
Okay.
because parenting,
Uh-oh.
parenting, because we talk a lot about how we millennials aren't raising our children the way we were raised. And I try to tell people that it's not a bad thing. It's not because we were raised badly, that it was terrible. It's just that, our parents did the best they could with what they had. You know, um now some of it was rough. Some of it was rough, but I am instilling some of those things into my children now. So what are some of the big differences you see in the way we raise our children and the way you all raise us?
Well, now sometimes I'm gonna just be honest. I look at you when you with the kids, like, you'll ask them, oh, well, Madison, what would you like to eat this evening? Junior, what would you like to have this evening? I didn't ask you guys none of that. You either ate what you had or you just didn't eat. I didn't care about what you wanted. I had already cooked. I wasn't doing nothing extra. I wasn't doing, going out to buy anything. It was you eat this or you don't eat it. Or like, how you all used to get upset when I come home and I'd be like, oh, you all must not want to eat. There's dishes in the sink. And I would put the chairs on top of the table and tell you all that the kitchen was closed.
Oh yeah, I used to hate hearing that the kitchen was closed. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like
It
this
meant
is
it was closed. It meant no dinner because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. There was supposed to be no dishes in the sink. And since you and Chris were the oldest, you all needed to decide who's cleaning up the kitchen. If nobody cleaned it, I wasn't cleaning it. So there was no dinner.
yeah. Yeah, we used to literally think that my mama was crazy. But now that I have children, I know that she was shh.
I was preparing you.
Well, not even that you was preparing us, but I know now that I have my own children that oftentimes you were overwhelmed. That oftentimes it was a lot working, taking care of us, and then coming home to tend to us. It was a lot. Um, and my parents always say, when you have your own children, you understand. And I have my own children now, so I understand how frustrating, how overwhelming it can be working and tending to your children. I have had this awkward blessing of being home with my kids. I was working, lost a job, and so been home with my kids. Literally, Madison is 7, so at this point, 7 years home with my children, and it's never what I thought I would be doing. I always thought that I would be in this corporate space, um, doing all of these amazing things that I wanted to do, whatever those things
Well,
would be.
Ebony, to be honest, if your skin was another color, you probably would be. Because there is no reason why, with the education and the experience and the things that you've done, that you're doing what you're doing right now, unless you just really wanted to. Your skin not the right color. Because you're not going to tell me that at this point, with you and Cedric, with the education that you all have and the things that you've done, that you all couldn't be a power couple at this point. But because your skin color isn't the right color, this is why you're sitting at the house holding Jackson right now. I'm sorry, that's just what it is.
And it's very true. And don't get me wrong, y'all. I love my babies and I love being here with my babies. But there have been many opportunities that I have applied for. I remember at one season of my life, I counted. And this may have been almost 2 years ago at this point. It may have been right before Jackson was born or right after. I had applied for almost, you going in there with brother and sister? Okay. I had applied for almost 2,000 jobs. 2,000. And I only had 4 interviews in that time span of applying for those 2,000 jobs. Two of which were over the phone initial interviews, and I never heard anything else. Two of which were in person, and they chose someone else over me. and that was a pot of 2,000 jobs. And this isn't random applications like, oh, I'm just going to apply for everything. No, these are intentional applications, things in my field that fit my resume. Uh, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult when you find yourself in a space where you know you're qualified, you know you're capable, but only reason people aren't hiring you is because you're black.
Not
Um,
only that, as soon as they see your name, they know you're black. Ebony, that's a black name. You know any Caucasian people by the name of Ebony?
I do not know any people by the Caucasian people by the name of Ebony. However, when you look up the statistics for Ebony, they tell you that almost 70% of Ebonies are white. And I'm like, where?
I know where.
Where? And this was maybe about 4 or 5 years ago when I looked up that statistic. So maybe it's different now. But I remember looking it up. And almost 70% of Ebonies were white. And I was like, I don't know one. But it's okay. But I
Yeah.
do think that, when it comes down to parenting and, doing what we are purpose to do, walking in purpose, doing, I think that God has definitely had me on assignment. These past couple of years, there's been people that I've encountered, things that I have done that have brought him glory. And that's the most important thing um, for me to experience. So I'll leave it there. But so now we can do your three things. Now we can do your three things. Three things that you would like for people to know. Let's say they missed the whole um, video. They missed everything in the beginning and they're just coming into the room now. What's three things that you would like for people to know about the workplace, about parenting, about grief? Um, just whatever three things that you want people to know before you go.
So, uh, as far as uh, employment, you have to know who you are as a person. When you walk into the doors, you have to know who you are, so that when people see you and meet you, that they know who you are, so that they can understand that let me see how I said that. Um, you want you're not going to stand for certain things, that I can't just come to her and say anything or do anything. You have to carry yourself in such a way that they know when they see you coming, no, you can't bring no foolishness this way. Take that somewhere else. Because if you don't do that, then it's going to always be something. Because one thing they can say about me where I work, they can't ever say that one, we heard that Felicia said this, because they didn't. Or that Felicia did this because I didn't. Or that Felicia doesn't get to work on time, because that's not true. So, you have to have a certain stature about yourself. And, people need to understand that when they see you. Uh, what else did you ask me about? I'm sorry. It was
Grief and
working.
parenting.
Grief. Everybody has their own way of dealing with their grief. I can't just say that there's one specific thing that people should do. But what they do need to understand is that God don't make any mistakes. There are no mistakes. When it's someone's time to go, no matter what we think or how we feel, when it's their time, it's their time. And there's nothing we can do about that. But what we can do is take comfort in knowing that whoever they were as a person, and that hopefully they had a relationship with Jesus Christ, that they're in a better place. Because what bothers me most at funerals is that as soon as they get up and start talking about an individual, whomever it might be, it's the first thing they say is that we know that they're up in heaven looking down on us. Everybody can't go to heaven. We do know that, right? Everybody isn't going to heaven. So doesn't mean that whoever that individual is particularly up in heaven looking down on us. We don't know where they are. We're making assumptions. And let me see. Employment, grief, and parenting. Oh, parenting. I don't really know what I want to say about that, because, you know, I came from a different era, and the way I see kids now, I don't understand it. But here are my things that I always say. One, I'm the adult in the room. Two, I'm not playing with anybody's children. And three, I don't negotiate with kids. That's all I can say about that. I'm not doing it. I don't. So
Didn't she sound like some of y'all mamas? I know all of y'all like, ooh, that sound like some of my mamas say.
I do not. I do not. And
I
when I
don't
see it,
negotiate with kids.
when I see it, I have to hurry up and walk away because I'm like, that's not my business over there. Let me just go on over here and do what I need to do because I just want to go over there and snatch the child up. And I know that's illegal now. You can't do that kind of
It
stuff now.
is. And y'all, let me just be clear. When she is Gigi, she is none of these things. She has helped my children clean their rooms for $1. She has bought them everything they asked her she gets. And I'm sometimes have to tell her they don't need nothing else. So y'all, this is just the way she raised us, me, my brother, and my sister. These rules she talking about do not apply to her grandchildren.
No, they do not. They don't. I mean, they're not living with me. I'm not raising that. But now, if something were to happen to you and Cedric, and I had to raise them, then that would change, and they would probably be like, "Oh my God, this not my Gigi. This is somebody else. Somebody go get my other Gigi because this lady right here, she crazy."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But just so y'all know, all this talk she talking, this big talk, it do not apply to her grandkids. It does not. But I think it's that way for most grandparents when they have
Yes,
grandkids. It's different. That's their opportunity because she can spoil them and send them home.
that's right.
Send them home. Well, Mom, I'm so thankful that you spent a few minutes with us tonight. I'm very, very grateful for your time. I know you have tons of things that you're doing, y'all. She's a mover and a shaker. I have to call and make sure she, check in with her. Where she at? What she doing? Because she's always on the move, out of town, on a plane. Gigi be on the go-go. So we're going to pray before we go, as we always do, just for God's clarity. And Jason, you want to pray? No. Okay. So God, we thank you for all it is that you're doing for us. We pray that our minds will think of you, our eyes will see you, our mouths will speak of you, our ears will hear you, our hearts will beat for you, the blood flowing through our veins will be for you, our hands will be lifted to worship you, and that we will walk within the footsteps that you have designed, and that anytime we lay down to rest, that we will awaken, refresh, renewed, and restored. And it's in Jesus' name that we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much, Mama, for being here. You guys, this is the last Mommy Monday of 2021. So I will see you all in January. Have a
And
great
your mother's
night.
getting ready to go do something else. I'm always doing something. I'm going to my next job. It's time for me to go make the donuts. Let me pop off and get ready to go to work.
All right. You guys have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm sure she can tell you yes. Oh, still no heart.
She's 7. You just help somebody because you help me too. What you got?